Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is take 2 because I have just recorded like a good 5 minutes of me talking about what we're going to be talking about today, and then remembered I didn't have my mic. The character he becomes. So, my bad. We will start again. So, hi. Anyway, so today we will be talking about Dexter Original Sin, episode 2. And I have again forgotten what the title was. Kid in a Candy Shop. So this episode is delving into the Miami Metro side of things now. So obviously we started in episode 1, him rehashing his first kill. And then this one is about him starting his first job in Miami Metro. So yeah, I think that's like essentially it. He's kind of getting to grips with like the dynamics, the office politics of how it all played, like making friends and all this kind of jazz. And then we've got Deb on the outskirts being kind of sidelined, and she is trying to lash out by stealing, basically. So yeah, and then also we have Harry's aspect of this story is we get a bit more backstory on him and Laura Moser, Dexter's biological mom. So that is the little mini summary, very quick. The first take was probably a lot better, but you know, we move. Anyway, so yeah, aspects. So I'll delve into what I really kind of my overall thoughts and misses for the show, because I think, is it a good spin-off? It's relatively good. It's a good little prequel, but however, do I think it's necessary? Not particularly. I think all the stuff they're kind of showing of Dexter so far, we kind of could have filled in ourselves, like him, how the donuts tradition would have started. Yeah, we would have gathered that. Seeing him meet, I can't remember her name, the clerk, the filing clerk woman, or like going to see her again, like it was kind of like a carbon copy, like a little not a scripted job, a carbon copy of like the original show, where is it adding anything new? Or we weren't him meeting her for the first time, it was just him going to greet her and go to the filing thing. We do see him get to know Angel Batista a little bit more, and I do think it is bizarre, the casting, because they do fit really well, but I don't feel like it's adding anything extra so far, and I think that's my little cause at the minute. Do I love these characters still? Of course I do. Am I going to keep watching? Of course I am. But so far, not much added to it. I think the Deb stuff is slightly more interesting than the Dexter storyline at the minute, just because we were hinted to her dynamic growing up, and I do think that'll add overall of the fact that she were sidelined, and she did feel a bit like it was a boys' club and then just her. So we might get a bit more of an understanding of what makes Deb by the time the show comes, like the show comes out, the main show starts timeline wise. The things I didn't like the aspects of the show that I did really like are, I think personally, it's like I've said, the Dexter stuff at the moment isn't really adding much to it so far for me. It's fun watching it. It's like going down an old memory lane, but with new faces. Aspects and what I think the show could have done is, I personally think if they were going to do a Dexter prequel series, it should have been about Harry Morgan, but from earlier on. So maybe when he first became a cop, like go full period drama, and delve into it, like Life on Mars meets Dexter kind of vibe. Kind of look into that and like kind of have it more from Harry's perspective, from the cop that kind of starts from a naive right and wrong kind of cop that leads to an unsure, like, and essentially helps create a serial killer. Like, I feel like that would have been a bit more, we could have seen all the key moments of his life that led to his actions and his justifications at the time of of teaching Dexter the code. So I personally think that could have had a lot more weight to it. It could have had a lot more meat for me to get behind and have like more thrills at the minute, because the Dexter storyline stuff at the moment is I like, obviously we know where these characters end up. We know what plays out. It's kind of takes out like the thrill of the journey if I'm already knowing where it's going, especially because it feels a bit too familiar what's happening at the minute. Like, that's a pro and a con. Like, I know I'm being probably quite contradictory, and I'm probably not helping with constructive feedback for it, but yeah, I think at the moment the more interesting beat to this series is the Harry storyline, and I'm gonna say Deborah Moser then, no, Laura Moser, and seeing that play out. Like, I'd potentially want a full episode that leads up to her death, and like maybe Harry, like I say, knew about it, but like her death, and then like Harry finding her, and finding Dexter born in blood. Do you know, like, and kind of going into that a bit more, like a whole prequel series about Harry could have led and being like picking up Dexter, or even just like walking into the container and it like fades to black, because we know from that point onwards what happens next. I also think it would have been good because Harry's portrayal in the main show is obviously very heavily from Dexter's point of view. Dexter is a very biased kind of narrator, and I think it works in the show because obviously we're delving into his brain. That's why that works. Like, I'm not criticizing that, but I feel like Harry is just as an interesting character to get into the mind of. So I think Harry is like the strongest bit of the show so far for me. Sarah Michelle Gellar in her role, and I obviously did say big Harry Potter fan. Of course, I meant I'm a big Buffy fan, so I am intrigued still where her character will go, where it'll end up in, because she obviously isn't in the main series, so what happens there. But so far, she just kind of feels like a side character. Oh, she's a side character, but she just kind of feels like an extra, not a side character. Like, she doesn't feel like, I don't have that same, like, I don't know, there's just something blocking me from like getting behind that character, and I think she was just kind of like a stereotypical boss-esque woman. So I'm hoping she becomes a bit more three-dimensional as time goes on. I think Patrick Dempsey's character, even more so, was just kind of there. I'm not really sure, like, my opinion on him is just kind of there. So I'm hoping they get a bit more embedded and a bit more fleshed out going forward. And that might bring me into the Dexter side of things a bit more, and finding out more to do with that. But yeah, so I think it's an okay couple of episodes so far. Like, I'm not knocking it, and I do think Clyde Phillips' direction on it is, like, him being a part of the show and like leading on it again is good, and it does feel like in that universe. If you ask me, do I think it's necessary so far? I'd say no. Like, I could happily live without them 2 episodes and still have everything that I had in the original series and enjoyment from it. It hasn't added anything so far yet. So I am intrigued as time goes on. I am going to be sticking with it. I'm going to be trying to get episodes out to review and have my thoughts up relatively close to when the episode goes out. I'm just being a bit slow recently, so I do apologise. Where I'd like to see the show still go is, obviously, I'd like it to go into more of the Laura Moser and Harry storyline. Like I said, I'd love a full flashback episode where they go for it. I want to see Christian Slater in a crappy wig. It's the Dexter way. I do think, and I have seen something online as well. Not like, I have seen like a little YouTube little thumbnail as well. I feel like we also saw Brian Moser and asking to sit there, and I feel like if that's the case, I don't know how I feel about it, because obviously he's a very important character in season 1. That's a very big revelation in season 1. I remember watching it and being like, oh. So, and I feel like it's fine if it is him, but I just hope they don't, like, obviously they can't, like, have Dexter find out it's him, because obviously that would just really undermine season 1. But yeah, maybe I just hope he just shows up ever so often, but is never really named. Like, he'll just pop up and we will know it's him and we will see him, but Dexter never clocks on, hopefully. But for someone so, like, perceptive and so smart, if someone kept regularly popping up, you think they would know. So hopefully, it might not have been him. It might be something to completely throw us off the board. But if it is him, I hope they just tread very finely on that, because obviously I don't want him to ruin what came of season 1 and that shock value and how that played out. Well, hopefully that's a good second take. Hopefully I've got some good stuff out of this, and hopefully you've enjoyed the overall little mini review. I will be uploading obviously season 3. I will obviously be uploading the 3rd episode next up, and I'll be able to say my thoughts on that. I believe it's called Miami Vice, and I feel like it's a very heavily going to be introducing LaGuerta, which will be an interesting one. I do still feel like, predictions-wise, Dokes will show up by the end of the season. I think that will be a surprise. I say surprise introduction. As like I've said, I've not really looked into the show at all. He might have actually been cast. If he has, please don't spoil it. I'd like to have that surprise for me. I'd like to have that surprise for me, so please don't spoil it if he has been cast. But my gut is saying he's probably showing up by the end of the season, which will be really, that might be interesting to see what tips him off. Maybe he really likes Dexter, and then something Dexter does then switches the dynamic and makes him not like him. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like and a subscribe. Comment down below and let me know what you thought on the series, where you think they could take it, or how they'd improve it, or if you really like the show. But yeah, let me know, and I will see you soon. Bye.